The Toronto Blue Jays pick up a win against a very good pitcher. An offensive explosion. We'll talk about it all on today's episode of Locked On Blue Jays.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Football season's right around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. As always, I'm Brayden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Brayden Iwasko. Carter First, too, as well on our main Twitter account at Locked On Jays. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button here on YouTube already, make sure you do that. Helps us out. You guys get everything for free. It's podcast shorts, live streams, videos, the whole ordeal. So it's easy enough to do. Hit that subscribe button, even though you guys have been killing it lately. Keep that going. Lots to talk about. Obviously, Blue Jays win against a very good pitcher. Mad Max's performance on the mound. Sort of what our big takeaways are to this one. And obviously, a little bit of an offensive explosion coming from a few guys. So we'll talk about all that today. But Carter, I guess I'll sort of leave the floor open for you. Where do you want to start with this one? There's definitely a few options.
Yeah, I think we'll start with the offense, getting to one of the better pitchers in the AL, a guy that might receive some Cy Young votes in the year of 2025, a guy that was being rumored to be traded at the trade deadline, had a little bit of Blue Jays rumors circulating around Joe Ryan. But the biggest thing that I saw in this game was their aggressiveness, especially early on in the count. And they were clearly looking for the fastball, which is Joe Ryan's best pitch, the pitch that he throws the most often. And it's a very effective pitch just because of his arm slot. He has a little bit of a sidearm delivery. It's a little bit tougher to pick up the ball out of his hand. So it plays very well. He kind of sits 94, 95. But it almost looks like it's kind of running at 96, 97. It was just the life of that fastball with that sidearm slot. Sometimes he almost looks like he's throwing a riser because it's kind of just, it doesn't seem like it's ever going down with the elevation of the mound. But you look at this game, George Springer, first pitch of the game, sees a fastball right over the plate, hammers that pitch. Bichette hammers a fastball, doing the classic Bichette, letting the ball travel, hitting the ball the other way. Nathan Lucas, another one, kind of a guy that was struggling a little bit going into the series, what a way to get back into it, hitting a double, first AB off of Joe Ryan. And then Alejandro Kirk, again, looking for that fastball, hitting a home run to opposite field, 11 home runs for Alejandro Kirk. Scored 4 runs in the first inning against, again, one of the best pitchers in the American League. That's exactly what we want to see. We said we were looking for like the bigger takeaways from series like this. You're going to face pitchers like Joe Ryan and his equivalent in the playoffs. Some of them might be better. Some of them might be worse. Honestly, a lot of them will probably be worse than Joe Ryan because, like I said, Joe Ryan is a very good pitcher. So it's something to be excited about. And another big thing of this series, obviously, is we got a little taste of it in the end of the Miami Marlins series. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. being back in this lineup just makes you feel so much better and more confident about the production that you can get. Like you gotta have guys producing, like Bichette's on an absolute tear right now. George Springer playing some good baseball as well. You kind of have your big dogs carrying the team right now, which we sort of expected, especially with the all for one mentality that this team had early on in the season. So yeah, those are the big takeaways: the aggression on the fastball, getting to a very good pitcher in Joe Ryan, and then just seeing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. back on the baseball field definitely made me feel very good about the start of the series against the Twins.
Absolutely, and I guess I'll start on the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. point of it all. You really notice when he's not in the lineup. And for everybody saying that, oh, Vlad's not worth it, look what he does. Just him being inserted back into this lineup. Take away the production of this game in particular. Pitchers have to worry about the lineup differently when Vladdy's in the lineup because they know he can do damage. So that affects everybody surrounding Vlad, the guy hitting before him, the guy hitting after him. All of that goes into this. So Vladdy being back is a major component for this team. And I think the biggest part of all this is that he didn't miss a ton of extended time. And if you would maybe have seen this injury last a little bit longer, then the worry starts to creep into your head. Like, is this something that could be re-aggravated going into the playoffs? There's a whole bunch of different things that could have happened. So I think getting him back now, it seems like he's ready to go. He's running the bases after hitting some BP as well. So I think he feels good. I think he looks good. That's a big takeaway for me. But just to this offense as a whole, the searching the fastball, that has been one of my biggest complaints this entire season, is this team not going after the fastball, trying to get on the fastball early. And what that does is that almost gives their pitcher, whoever it would be, a free first strike because guys are taking fastball middle. And I sometimes sit there and wonder to myself, why are we taking that pitch? What other pitch are you looking for? And some guys obviously may be looking for other things because, guys like Addison Barge or George Springer, they might throw them a curveball first or a slider first because they want to not let them sit on the fastball. But for the majority of this team, they're sitting there watching first pitch strike go down the middle and not swing at it. And it was a big complaint of mine. Now being here and watching what they did in this game, that's exactly what I want to see more of, Carter.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every single pitcher in the league, predominantly, I would say 95% of them are going to rely on their fastball as the most often. It's going to be the one they have the most command of. It's going to be the easiest one to throw for the most part. And it's the tone setter. If you have a good fastball and you're commanding the fastball, all of your other pitches are going to play off that fastball. And when you look at a lot of pitchers around the American League, they're going to have a fastball that does have some carry, that does have a lot of life to it. They're going to be sitting 97, 98 in some scenarios with some run, either in the inside or to the inside or the outside part of the plate. So if you can start hitting the fastball and make pitchers, throw hitters, start some breaking pitches, and you got to start hanging some curveballs, start getting some hanging sliders, this team is going to be effective at hitting the breaking ball. So yeah, hopefully they can just kind of continue on hitting that lively fastball. The next pitcher they will face, Bailey Oberg, is kind of the opposite of Joe Ryan, which does not have, this blow away velocity fastball, and that sits usually 90 to 91. So it'll be a little bit of a different look, but it's very impressive to what they did to Joe Ryan in this stat line because not the typical Joe Ryan start that you're going to see. Did struggle a little bit in his last outing as well, but overall, very good numbers on the season for Joe Ryan. But overall, looking at the stat line here, he goes 5 innings, gives up 7 hits, a lot of hard hit balls in this game. Still the strikeouts. Joe Ryan's going to come with those strikeouts. He was second in the American League to Tyreek Skubal before this game. Does get 7 again here, gives up 2 home runs, 6 earned runs. Love to see it. How can you not be upset about what the Toronto Blue Jays did in this lineup? And maybe it was a little bit of that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. spark returning to this lineup. But you look at Nathan Lucas, has some great at-bats. Again, Bichette on an absolute tear. George Springer, Alejandro Kirk. Daulton Varsho is just hitting the ball hard. He just continues to try to drop the barrel. And I actually thought he got into one in that first inning. Got a little bit maybe too excited because he absolutely smacked the ball. But it's looking good for the Toronto Blue Jays. It's looking promising for the Toronto Blue Jays club. And as we look, farther into at least the Twin series, the pitching, at least the starting pitching, is only going to get worse. It's only going to get easier in that sense. And then just looking at the schedule after, you got the Brewers, you got the Reds, the Yankees, the Astros. A little bit of a tougher stretch here. So again, in the team in the Minnesota Twins that traded away half of their baseball team at the trade deadline, this is a series that you should win. And now that you won that Joe Ryan game, I'm looking for a sweep. We both, I think, had the Joe Ryan game as a loss because we do respect Joe Ryan a lot, obviously. The Toronto Blue Jays said, screw that. We're going to absolutely light them up. This is a home run derby. So shout out to the Toronto Blue Jays. And yeah, I'm setting my sights on gaining some more ground in the American League East, especially with the tougher stretch coming up.
Yeah, and just continuing off of sort of talking about the offense, this team has proven time and time again that they can hit good pitching. They have been able to do it all season. Yes, there are some exceptions where they struggle, and that it's going to happen to any good baseball team. A great pitcher is going to go out there and have great starts once in a while, and can't do anything about it. If they're on, they're on. But this team has shown us that it's not just take advantage of the bad pitching. It's not just beat up on the bad teams. It's doesn't matter who's on the mound. It just happened. It's just the case if the Blue Jays bring their stuff that day or not. And so I think that's very promising moving in, as we get closer and closer to this playoffs as well. So that's something I'll keep looking for all season is how they hit good pitching, at the end of the day, that's probably the biggest question on our mind outside of maybe who the Blue Jays starting rotation is going to be in the playoffs is how does this offense show up? Because in the last bunch of years heading into playoffs, this offense has struggled, mightily struggled. So how can they turn those tables will be my biggest question. But Carter, in saying that, talking about the starting pitching, a guy that we and a lot of fans are starting to pencil in is Max Scherzer. How did he do today? We'll talk about all that on the other side of this break. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. I talk all the time about how much I love FanDuel because they're my premier place to go place my bets. And August 26th, today, is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is the moment. Listen, we just had our fantasy draft, so I got a lot of guys in mind. Who am I going to throw down for MVP? Who am I going to throw down for who wins divisions? It's a question I'm going to have to answer throughout the day today because I will definitely be taking part in the FanDuel Futures Day. I'm sure Carter will be too, and a lot of our buddies that all bet on FanDuel as well. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. So, Carter, continuing on, obviously, the big one of the biggest conversations in Blue Jays land right now is what is this starting rotation going to look like for the playoffs? And I don't think we need to rehash this exactly again, but let's talk about one of the guys that is trying to throw his hat in the ring for a possible one of those games, and that's Max Scherzer. So, Carter, do you want to take us through Scherzer's run line today?
Yeah, we'll dive into it here. I think as we continue to get farther and farther along the season, it's starting to come at least a little bit more clear if things continue on the way they do, like we talked about in the last episode. Again, not going to rehash it entirely, but there's still a lot of time left. Now it's 30 games, so a lot of things can happen. But Mad Max has been absolutely on fire since really recovering from that thumb injury. As soon as you stopped hearing Max Scherzer talk about the thumb, we have seen him be very successful, and he was again in this game. It was really only one guy on the Minnesota Twins that was getting to Max Scherzer, and that was Matt Wallner. Absolutely launched some balls into oblivion, and they were on 2 mistake pitches, which has been Max Scherzer's issue the entire season. He's giving up the long ball, and the reason he gives up the long ball is because when he does make a mistake, he's getting his money's worth because some of these pitches were right over the middle of the plate. Matt Wallner, a very underrated hitter, does possess a lot of power. I know the Twins traded away a ton of guys, but they still have a few pieces that they can build around, like Joe Ryan, who we just saw in this game, Pablo Lopez, who is injured, Byron Buxton, who has a no-trade clause, Matt Wallner. Like, they have still some pieces. Obviously, the depth isn't really there whatsoever, especially at this point. But, yeah, you can't miss over the middle. We've talked about this in pretty much every single Scherzer start, unfortunately, because he does seem to give up the longest moon ball of all time in every single one of his starts. But, again, looked very effective in this baseball game. Once again, just going over the stat line, 6 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 5 Ks, 1 walk. Again, 2 home runs given up in the start. Not exactly what you're looking for. But one thing that I've really been noticing from Max Scherzer over his last few starts is that he's hitting his spots, like, and right on the money. Alejandro Kirk is not moving that glove a whole lot when he is setting up behind the plate. And that can do a multitude of things for a pitcher and a catcher duo. Obviously, just as a confidence standpoint, if you are on the mound and you see Alejandro Kirk kind of set up behind the plate and you're hitting that spot, you're going to feel good about your pitches. You're going to say, hey, I'm on today and the pitches are moving. I have my command here. You're going to get more aggressive. And usually what tends to happen is when pitchers get aggressive, that's when they are more successful. If you're kind of battling from behind in the count all the time and you're kind of almost playing scared a little bit and nervous, you don't really want to attack hitters. You don't have your best stuff. You really want to lay on the outside corners, which you want to do. But if you're overthinking it, it can start to have some issues. Start, maybe hang some pitches. So Max Scherzer just having the confidence, seeing that he can hit the glove every single time, helps him out. Not only him, Alejandro Kirk can be like, hey, he's hitting his spots. I can set up exactly here, and he's going to be in with within 2-3 inches of my spot here. So it gives confidence to both sides. And also, Alejandro Kirk is a very good framer. So just having the ability to have that set up there and kind of carry the glove back into the zone instead of setting him inside, and then he has to get the pitch outside, and he swipes all the way outside. Maybe it is a strike, but as soon as you're moving your glove out of the strike zone, that's almost like reverse framing. It's not really going to do you any sort of justice moving the ball from the strike zone to out of the strike zone. So there's so many things that hitting the glove helps with as a starting pitcher, and it definitely makes the game more manageable. So yeah, shout out to Max Scherzer for that. The fastball is his bread and butter, the fastball slider combo. Again, the only issue is the home run ball, and the easiest thing to fix, easier said than done, obviously, is don't pitch over the middle. But, when you throw 90 pitches in a baseball game, it's going to be tough when, eventually some of them are going to miss in a bad spot. You just got to hope that the other teams don't take advantage of it. And unfortunately, in this game, they did.
Yeah, and they took advantage of it, but there was also some that were deep warning track balls. That is like
Nathan Lucas caught what? 8 fly balls. I think actually like 3 or 4, but
Yeah.
it seemed like every single pitch was going to deep right center field, and he was on the warning track, really hugging the wall out there. But yeah, shout out to Lucas for, to remaining calm. Because yeah, that wall can definitely get in your head at some points.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about those misses, and it's something I've started to notice with Max Scherzer. Even in the games that he doesn't give up the long ball or a ton of the long balls, there are some that are on the verge of going out. It is right there. So those mistake pitches will really hurt Max Scherzer. I'm interested to see again down the stretch, because I could see there be a point in the playoffs where instead of those balls being warning track fly balls, they're home runs. And then the game really does get away from you. And I think Max Scherzer's been very good. I don't want to take anything away from that. But those balls, if they end up going an extra 3-4 feet, are home runs. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Max Scherzer, because I do see a few flaws that maybe will hurt you in the playoffs. That you can't, and maybe, I don't know if it's skill, luck, whatever it is, that those are warning track fly balls, but I don't know if you can bank on those being warning track fly balls, especially that many of them. That's my only concern, is because I do agree with you. I think when he is locating pitches, they are right on the money, but there are also a lot that he's hanging over and living in the middle too. So I don't know. I'm not, I don't want to say I'm concerned, because I don't want to put doubt out there in Max Scherzer, because I think he's been very good, but there are little cracks in the armor, I guess is what I'll say.
Well, again, we got to like backtrack and realize this guy is 41 years
Yeah.
old. So I think what he is doing for this baseball team is definitely above the expectations. And it's not like, he gives up 4 or 5 warning track fly balls every single game. This funny, I know it happened at times. So again, a lot of heart racing moments in this game. But when you get to October, you would think that the ball's not going to carry as far. It's going to get colder literally anywhere you're playing. Again, maybe some of the domes come into play, and like that's not as big of a factor. But you'd think the farther you kind of get down the line in the year, the more that pitchers should be benefited, especially with the rest that they're going to get with just the game planning, the load management that has already gone into the season. I think as hitters, it's just only going to get harder as you progress through the season, as the pitchers get more and more stretched out and more confident in what they're doing. But I'm not too worried about Max Scherzer whatsoever. Like, pitchers are going to miss over the middle, and you got to be confident in what you're doing. So I think Max Scherzer, especially with the slider, he wants to start it over the middle a lot of the time. He wants it to break into the left-handed pitchers, and he wants to break it away from righties. Sorry. So I'm still good with what Max Scherzer is doing. Again, the pedigree that he has, the experience, there's a whole lot of things that go into the playoff scenario. But just going over the last 7 starts, like, this guy has pitched 6 innings in 6 of his last 7 appearances. That's some pretty good ball that Max Scherzer is playing right now. And going over the last 7, 3.35 ERA over 43 innings, 32 hits given up for 16 earned runs, 37 strikeouts, 9 walks, a whip of .95. So again, playoff conversations, we've already had a bunch of these, but just looking at the regular season, this guy has thrown 66 innings. I was hoping for around 100. I said 100 to 125 I'd be very happy with going into the season. At one point, that looked like one of the worst takes that I ever going to have going into the season. But now, again, 66 innings pitched, 30 games left. You got to say, I'll be conservative, say he gets 5 more starts. So he's going to cover 34 innings in 5 starts. That's a little bit overzealous. I'm not sure if he's going to get there, to 100 innings. He gets that 6th start, I'd be a lot more optimistic. But even if he doesn't, again, that was just a number that I threw out there. If he's anywhere close, that is going to be something positive for Max Scherzer. And when you look at kind of these innings pitch numbers, he should be ready to go come playoff time. He's definitely not been overpitched this season. I will tell you that for free. So yeah, I'm not too worried about Max Scherzer. I think we have seen the progression every single outing. We've seen him only get better and better and better. And he's the guy that I'd definitely be confident down the stretch, not only in the regular season, but definitely in a playoff start as well.
Yeah, and Max Scherzer always brings a extra level of readiness to big games, right? He's always been that guy. He gets himself fired up. He gets a chip on his shoulder. He is one of those guys. And those guys always, when you talk about clutch situations or big moments, they're the guys that step up. And that's why he's been so successful over his entire career, is the fact that he lives for big situations. And so I think, again, bringing that into the playoff conversation is massive as well, where I think I'm way more confident in Max Scherzer right now than I am in Jose Berrios or Chris Bassitt, just for the what you get on a day-to-day. You just never really sure with those other 2 guys, and that's sort of the problem for me right now. So I don't really think it's a big question. I think it's just right now, obviously, you're hoping for your 3 guys and to all stay consistent. Shane Bieber, Kevin Gausman, Max Scherzer. And to me right now, that's looking almost like a lock if these guys keep pitching well.
Well, in the playoffs, I don't really want players to be putting the ball in play a whole lot of the time. You can have those swing and miss guys. Those are the guys that I would start leaning towards. So I think as we progress to the end of the season, if things again continue on the same trajectory, a lot of things can happen. But I think we're still going to see, it's really a little bit more apparent who the Toronto Blue Jays should start in that 3-game series. Again, I'm leaning more towards the swing and miss guys. There's 3 guys in at the top of your rotation that do possess that more of that swing and miss, and that is Shane Bieber, that is Max Scherzer, and that is Kevin Gausman. A lot can happen, but right now, if we're talking about the playoff series, which we'll try not to talk about every single episode, we hard not to because it's all over Twitter. But yeah, shout out to Max Scherzer for the start that he did have. But another guy that I definitely wanted to talk about in this game is Andres Gimenez, who is starting to heat up a little bit and has been sneaky good over this last little stretch here. And by the way, it didn't include this last game, so it's actually 7 of Scherzer's last 8 starts that he's went 6 or more innings. So that is pretty good for the 41-year-old that everyone seemed to be writing off in the middle of the season. I think we were really close to being in that same point as well. Definitely cannot blame some of the people for writing him off, especially with how things were going. But Andres Gimenez, over the last 20 games, hitting .321 with an .844 OPS. Time to move back into the cleanup spot. Is that what we're doing here? Where are you at with Andres Gimenez? Obviously, we're not going to do that, but I'm very comfortable with this guy hitting in the 9 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's come back, obviously, from the stint on the IL and has been good. I have no real complaints. I think he's done exactly what you need from him. He's being very good defensively, and he's showing a little prowess with the bat, and that's something I didn't really expect from him. I think, again, we got that shocking start to the season from him, but then he fell off a cliff and then went on the IL and came back, and he's looked good. So I think the biggest watch, again, I don't want to always talk about playoffs, but that's where we have to go. Down the stretch, he'll be a guy that I look to of, can he keep the at-bats just solid? If they're just solid, then I'm going to be thrilled because he's a guy that hopefully just turns over the lineup, gets it back up to the top, and maybe gives you a little bit of production. And that's really all you're looking for out of that spot, especially with the defensive prowess he does have. Because in the end of the day, in the playoffs, a big play at second base that he takes away is an out. And again, the playoffs, you're not playing for as many runs as you can score. You're playing to try to get outs. That's really the ball game. So, and Andres Gimenez and Daulton Varsho are 2 guys that definitely help with getting outs.
Yeah, there's 3 things that really play in the playoffs, and it's having good pitching, it's the home run ball, and good defense. And we've seen how having bad defense can definitely hurt a team, especially if you get to the World Series. I think you guys kind of know where I'm getting at with that one there. But you said turn over the lineup. Andres Gimenez was trying to do, maybe not the best for like a rally starter, but he absolutely pimped a home run in the second inning. Talk about being aggressive on a fastball. He was sitting on that fastball at the top of the zone. How about that? I mean, you expect him, kind of just get on base, maybe, draw a walk. No, Andres Gimenez hitting the longest home run of his career. An absolute no doubter to the right field seats. 422 feet. That's a pretty good swing from Andres Gimenez. That was a pretty fun home run to watch. Openly, not a big Andres Gimenez guy, but it's a lot easier to be an Andres Gimenez guy when he's hitting at 9, maybe even 8. I'm even okay with him at 7. He's not at the middle of the order in your cleanup spot as a guy that's never really hit for power in his entire career. So it's, again, the same idea of setting Andres Gimenez up for success and, not making me want to absolutely pull my hair out because he is a great defender. Obviously, he's not advertised as the greatest offensive player. Again, the contract stuff's maybe going to be a little bit different once we get down the line. But as for right now, with the way Andres Gimenez is and the way this team is constructed, it is definitely benefiting the Toronto Blue Jays a ton. If he can swing the bat even half as good as this is, like I'm okay with the 700 OPS from Andres Gimenez. We're going to get over an 800 one. Like that's when he was getting some of those MVP votes back. I believe it was in 2022, the Alejandro Kirk year as well, when Andres Gimenez was putting up some crazy numbers. So again, kind of just ride the middle. Like I don't want it to be as bad as it was in May, but I mean, I'd love to see it kind of continue on like this. Probably not going to happen. But I just want competitive at-bats, fouling off some pitches, maybe getting the pitch count up for your starter, especially in a playoff scenario. Andres Gimenez definitely has the ability to do that.
Yeah, I'm talking just about the Andres Gimenez contract of it all. And it sort of takes me back to the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. point when when that contract was signed. You're not going to care about those last few years if you win a World Series. Winning cures everything. You're okay with having to spend a little extra in those years because, well, you got the job done. The one thing that the fans all ask of you is bring a trophy home. So if they can do that, there will be zero complaining from me or you over the next how many ever years complaining about an Andres Gimenez contract. So be that what it may. Carter, in saying all of that, game 2, we're going to talk about that the rest of the series. Now, what we sort of look forward to, because they did, I don't want to say steal the game. They got a win against a very good pitcher and one that maybe we didn't expect. So we'll talk about everything on the other side of this short break.
Today's episode is sponsored by 5-Hour Energy Transfusions. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of the golf course flavored favorite drink to a non-alcoholic boost. For sinking birdies or making great memories with friends, it's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. We've been using 5-Hour Energy Transfusions a ton recently on the course. We have such busy schedules, and sometimes you just need to pick me up, especially on the golf course, even in your everyday lives, especially, if you're grinding in a work day, maybe it's a Wednesday and, you're halfway through the week and the end of the weekend is still looking like it's pretty far away in sight. 5-Hour Energy Transfusion, perfect opportunity to, get that into you, and you're going to feel a whole lot better. It kind of revived my weekend a bunch of times this summer already, especially when you have those later nights and you have an early morning golf day. That has definitely saved my golf round a time or two. So big thanks to 5-Hour Energy for the great tasting 5-Hour Energy Transfusion shots that we love to have on the golf course. So golf is all about the good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, or enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament, and it ends October 31st, 2025.
So, Carter, just continuing on, obviously, as the Blue Jays go now look for a series win today and tomorrow. Maybe the S word that I won't say quite yet because I don't want to jinx anything. That's the goal. I think it has to be now, right? Because if you can take another game here, you never plan for a series sweep. You plan to win in the series, but at the end of the day, I just said it. Dang it. Well, it is what it is.
I already said it, I think, like 3 times at the start of this episode. So we already, we're getting the bad karma, I guess, out there. If you're superstitious, you're not going to like that one from the Locked On Blue Jays here. So maybe I'll take one on the chin if it doesn't go that well. But second game of the series, Bailey Ober, and then I believe it's Chris Bassitt on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. 2 soft throwers, 2 guys that kind of rely on that soft contact. We had 2 guys that, had a little bit more swing and miss stuff in their game, especially Joe Ryan on the other side. That went pretty well for the Toronto Blue Jays. So Chris Bassitt, I'm expecting a pretty gritty performance from him. He usually does succeed against these type of hitters. Matt Wallner will be a guy that I will be looking at for those at-bats, especially after what he did to Max Scherzer, that power hitting lefty. I think Chris Bassitt does have the stuff, the a million pitches that he does have to neutralize him and get him to roll over on a few of those pitches. But Brayden, obviously we're looking for a win here for the Toronto Blue Jays. But what's something that you're going to be looking for specifically in this game? Like maybe it's a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. surge. Is it Bichette continuing on? Maybe we see a David Schneider at back. If you haven't seen David Schneider in this lineup, maybe a little bit. Maybe you're calling a home run, John Schneider ejection. What are you looking for from this game 2?
You know what? The first thing that pops into my mind is a growth from Chris Bassitt, a back to the usual. But again, I keep going back to the playoffs, and that isn't the first thing that's top of mind for me. I think in the Max Scherzer start, that would have been it. Is how does Max Scherzer do? How does this lineup do against Joe Ryan? This game, it is to me all about the offense. I want to see Vlad cook. I want to see Bo continue on. I want to see this lineup in full effect. Now that you really have everybody back together, outside of obviously Anthony Santander, who, again, no updates on.
I actually do have an update on. I got one from Arden Zwelling on a couple of guys here. Do you want me to just go into that
Anthony
Santander one or just kind of
might as well. What did you get?
So there's some good news, some not great news, and some really bad news. And I guess it's not even good news. It's just like an update, which is sort of positive. And this one is about Anthony Santander. But Anthony Santander from Arden Zwelling, his shoulder. He is in Toronto with the Blue Jays. He's regressed to hitting off high velocity pitching machines. So that's where we're at with the Anthony Santander stuff. Not facing live pitching yet, but ramping it up to high velocity. I'm not sure what that means. Is it, high velocity for me? Is it, pitching, we're seeing 80 miles per hour, or are we talking like Tyler Skubal, Ryan Helsley, Paul Skeens, like those type of guys? probably sitting around 95, but I guess that's, some positive news against Anthony Santander. Like, if this guy doesn't come back by mid-September, like, I don't know if I even want him in the playoff lineup because
I don't know
he
how
hasn't
you
swung a bat since middle of May. Like, he's not going to catch fire right away unless somehow he pulls a Daulton Varsho. But Daulton Varsho was hitting this entire time. So Santander hasn't swung a bat in months. So I'll let you just kind of get in your opinion quickly with that. Like, where do you see Santander even fitting into this lineup if he does come back?
Well, that's the problem. So, first of all, yeah, we saw him on the bench during that last game on the weekend or whatever, and whatever. I mean, I don't know. To me, that means nothing. Like, he's hitting off machines, but we're a month away from the start of playoffs. Like, this guy needs to get in games like tomorrow to really get a good sample size before you go into the playoffs. I don't know where this goes. I said this a long time ago. I don't think we see Anthony Santander this season. It's just where we're at. So that update to me, that's great, but I don't think it changes any of my thoughts or opinions on this.
See, if you are able to get him back, like I said, in mid-September, like, you're not going to throw him into the 4 spot. You're probably going to have him hit 6 or 7. There is going to be some, growing pains getting him back into this lineup. But I don't think, like, the option, at least, of Anthony Santander is necessarily a bad thing. We talk about how the power plays in the playoffs. That is a guy that did 44 home runs last season. I know a lot of things happened between then and now, but there definitely is still at least a little bit of upside when we look at Anthony Santander. It doesn't have to be, that full-time regular guy, especially if it isn't going well. Like, the expectation of Anthony Santander is definitely diminished, at least for this season. Next season is completely different. I expect Anthony Santander to kind of bounce back and have an effective season for the Toronto Blue Jays. But obviously, we're focused on this season. So we're not really focused on what he's going to do in the future. We want it now. And we're a little bit losing the patience, I guess. Hey, you don't get a good team like this. You don't get a Toronto Blue Jays team like this, at least, every single year. So you got to take advantage while you can. But just going into the next 2 updates is Nick Sandlin. This is like the not great, but it's not the worst thing ever. In his elbow injury, has experienced some discomfort in his elbow while throwing from 120 feet recently. He is in Toronto being assessed by the Blue Jays staff, and the club's hope is Sandlin's setback is a minor one. He can continue throwing, but it'll depend how the medical staff evaluates him. So again, minor setback, maybe pushing him back a week to a week and a half. But this is the bad one, the one that I have not really been optimistic on. I think this doesn't confirm it quite yet, but we're getting really close to Jimmy Garcia not being back for the rest of the season. Again, from Martin's Welling, Jimmy Garcia, all on nerve symptoms, hasn't been bouncing back well between recent throwing sessions and is going to visit Dr. Keith Meister for another opinion on his elbow. And Dr. Meister is a Tommy John specialist. So that is not exactly what you want to hear from a guy that would have been a higher leverage reliever for this baseball team down the stretch. So I'm not very optimistic about the Jimmy Garcia stuff at this point. You have to have him start pitching by at the latest middle September, have that ramp up period because it's the guy that hasn't pitched in a while. How effective is he when he comes back? So another guy that I think you got to start lowering the expectations and maybe expect him to not come back for the Toronto Blue Jays, unfortunately, for this playoff run they're about to make.
Another guy for me, Carter, that I've sort of just had in my head. That's it. So if that's the case, I guess maybe a conversation we need to have in the next few days is, well, how do you like this bullpen as is? Because this might be what it is. You might not get Nick Sandlin back. I think you may. I think that one's more optimistic. Jimmy, no, I don't think so. And again, you're going to probably have a conversation with the Mason Fluhardys, the Brayden Fishers, everybody like that, and who fits where. So we're going to have a big conversation as we get a lot closer to the playoffs. I think it's still, you have a month still. So there is a lot of time for things to change, for guys to go up and down, for them to bring in some guys like Paxton Schultz or Justin Brule to eat innings. That happens as well. So a lot of conversation still to be had. But in saying all of that, Carter, just before we kick out of here, anything else from you?
Yeah, just on the Justin Brule part of it. Shout out to Justin Brule.
Yeah,
One hit in his 2 innings pitched. Just a very good outing for the Toronto Blue Jays pitching staff. He only used 3 guys, and one of them was Justin Brule for 2 innings. Clearly, the Toronto Blue Jays and John Schneider like having 2 lefties out of the bullpen because Mason Fluharty not with the team anymore. Well, he is with the team, just not with the Major League club. He's in AAA. Paxton Schultz got optioned back to AAA for Justin Brule being recalled. So yeah, I just wanted to give out a shout out to Justin Brule and just again, Max Scherzer, Tommy Nance as well. Tommy Nance is so effective ever since, throwing the slider more than that curveball, using the curveball predominantly as a strikeout pitch. He has been super effective for the Toronto Blue Jays, especially when I talked about last episode with a lot of the higher leverage relievers sort of struggling a little bit over the stretch. So he's been a nice stabilizer for the Toronto Blue Jays ball club. But other than that, just again, continuing on the grind, continue to just not lose ground in the standings. After today, every single team in the AL East, these teams that, we're looking at and mattered, like I don't care what the Orioles are doing. They did lose to the Red Sox, though. The Red Sox won. The Yankees won. I have not checked the Tigers game. Last time I checked, it was 0-0. So I'll quickly check that before we do kind of send this off. As you guys are watching this, you probably know the score anyway. But Brayden, is there anything else you want to add up before we do head out here?
Tigers are up 3-1 right now.
There you go.
As we record this, it's in the 7th inning, so they should.
No ground lost. I mean, again, a lot of time to get to the top of the American League. For me, it's not like I would love to win the American League, but I just want to buy. Give me top 2, and you're in a pretty good spot looking behind you. The Mariners, the Astros, kind of battling out and put up a few stinker performances recently.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Obviously, like I keep saying, it's a month of baseball. A lot can still happen in the last month of baseball. We could get a Botember still. Who knows what's going to happen? And saying all of that, thanks everybody for tuning in and watching. We'll be back with you tomorrow.